You're watching Free Press Journal live on YouTube. I'm Afrida Rahman Ali, and we want to understand what exactly happened and what are the possibilities that are being investigated into after that terrible crash that happened near the Ahmedabad airport last afternoon. Joining me is Mr. KVJ Rao, who is a former Air India senior official and aviation expert. Good evening, Mr. Rao. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can, and good evening, and thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Uh, I want to then begin by asking you that at a time like this, when we are looking at all the possibilities that could have happened, one of the things that is being looked at is a technical failure, a system failure, an engine failure. As somebody who has worked with Air India, as an aviation expert, what is your understanding of what caused this crash?
Ma'am, there could be many factors that, as you said, there could be a technical glitch, there could be a human error, there could have been lack fatigue, there could have been lack of rest. There are many possibilities, but we would be speculating if we kind of get into that at this point of time. Let the investigation take place, and then we will come to know. To be very honest with you, I hope that the investigating team has qualified aviation experts to address each and every issue. That's the only worry that we have. I, Ma'am, I've lost you. I've
Yeah,
lost you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was mute for a bit. I'm saying I'm putting out excerpt from an article that you wrote on the Free Press Journal today,
Yes.
where you are saying that DGCA was indulging and covering up its tracks of flight safety violation of Air India. I have filed many criminal cases to bring the officers concerned of the DGCA and Air India to book. Now, this is
Yes.
pretty serious. It means that former employees of Air India has red flagged multiple issues with the aircrafts, and those have not been taken seriously. Can you elaborate on this, please?
Sure. From the time the long range aircrafts came into Air India, the issues started cropping up. Initially, when Mr. Naseem Zaidi was the head of DGCA, he had formulated strict rules for long range operations. At that time, to
Yeah,
operate a flight over 11 hours of flight time, the
yeah,
rest period on board was 5 hours, horizontal rest. You couldn't have more than one landing, an emergency landing. You had to
yeah,
have 72 hours of rest before taking the flight. You had to get 92 hours of rest after a flight. And these were the accepted norms between the then union and DGCA. It was a tripartite agreement.
yeah,
But when the aircraft started coming in, Air India started cutting corners. They started misinterpreting the laws. They started misinterpreting the rules. And it was DGCA that was covering up. In fact, in one meeting when we were with Mr. Naseem Zaidi, and
mhm,
we told him, "Okay, sir, this 5 hours has been reduced to 4 hours." He asked his officers, "Who has done this without my permission?" And there were
mhm,
many officers there, like one Mr. Lalit Gupta. He was a DG then, a deputy
mhm.
DDG at that time. He changed the rules, and I had flagged at least 1,300 documented rest are. See, the crew is bound by flight time, duty time limitations, and rest hours, because this is to
Yeah,
take care of the fatigue factors when we do trans-zone flights, because we cross many zones at that point of time.
mhm,
So these gentlemen were tweaking the rules and giving Air India a free hand. Air India could decide. And at that time, we had one lady known as Miss Harpreet Singh. She came into the department and she just ran roughshod over the rules. She said, "I could not be bothered about the rules. I will make the rules. If you don't adhere to it, I will suspend you all." And many crew have been suspended for availing of their rights under the DGCA. But unfortunately, like we didn't have time to go to court to get them back. It would take months together. So we were towing lines at that point of time. We were cutting corners. They have like, I have brought this up n number of times, and the
Yeah.
worst thing
But I
happened
want
was,
to understand if I can just get you to explain to us when you say that flight safety measures were compromised. Uh, are you saying that from the perspective of how flying hours and the rules related to it were tweaked, which in turn jeopardized a pilot's efficiency to operate? Are you saying it from that perspective?
yes, exactly. Because the rules, whether it's a rest period, whether it's for a pilot or for a cabin crew, the rest pilot, the rest before a flight, the rest on the flight, and the rest after a flight are very much need to be considered. Because you have to understand one thing. When we fly the aircraft, in case of an eventuality, we are trained to evacuate that aircraft in 90 seconds. So if the presence of mind is not there, if fatigue has set in into me, I will not be able to do that. It will
Hmm.
definitely jeopardize. In case of an emergency, there will be problems. And in
Yeah.
fact, when we brought this up in the Bombay High Court in 2013, Justice Dharmadhikari passed. He said if there are any violations, the crew will be individually responsible for those violations. Justice
Hmm.
Dharmadhikari was very clear in his order at that point of time.
Yeah.
But still, Air India couldn't be bothered. They just went on violating the rules. And I have been flagging them at practically every day. I could talk of a flight that had violated the laws.
Right, because there is a very large section of people right now who are saying that it could be a pilot error. And now, if I piece together, I mean, of course, we must refrain from speculating, but if I piece together what you are saying with the kind of possibilities that are being talked about, it seems it has been taken lightly by the DGCA that there are certain rest hours, there are certain health and efficiency concerns of the pilot, which the DGCA has not maintained absolute high standards with. Am I right in interpreting this as some sort of a lackadaisical attitude, a lax attitude towards the pilots per se, owing to which the possibility of pilot error is not ruled out, even in this case?
Madam, again, like I said, I don't want to speculate, but any violation of the rule or the rest rule is bound to have an effect.
Hmm, hmm,
There is going to be a domino effect when the rules are not followed. When it will hit you, we don't know, because the human body reacts differently at different times. And if you've not had a proper rest, or if there were things that have not been taken care of at that point of time, it could lead to an error. But I, once again, with caution, I am not speculating on what exactly and why this accident took place. But one thing is very clear, that Air India has never gone by the book.
yeah. So, as somebody who worked with Air India, and if you look at this particular incident, is there anything or close to this that you ever witnessed? Does it remind you of anything that in your during your tenure, something that happened? And would you say that something of this nature was waiting to happen, owing to which whistleblowers like yourself were so much on the alert? And in that sense, this would be the worst nightmare for you.
Yeah. Now, we did not have a practical experience of an accident, but we conducted a simulation test.
Hmm,
In
hmm.
Delhi, a simulation test was conducted with the DGCA officials and the crew. And this is very important to let you know. The crew
Okay.
had just landed from New York on a flight, and 10 o'clock in the morning, they were woken up and said, you will have to go and do this evacuation drill. And all of them failed, including the DGCA nodal officer, Mr. Sonam Lepcha, failed that test,
Okay.
despite which DGCA did not take any corrective action.
So then,
This
what
is
is the
what I'm,
point of having the simulative tests if people who fail also are let off? Then what is
no,
the whole idea of having this
that,
test?
ma'am, that's exactly where we are coming from. If the proper rest is not given, how do I react? Like I said, I have a deadline of 90 seconds to evacuate all the passengers with half the number of doors available for evacuation. So
Hmm.
if I don't have a presence of mind, how am I going to do that? And the presence of mind will not come if I'm fatigued. And the rules
Right.
need to be followed. We also have an issue that DGCA has a very simple term saying minimum crew,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
they have
Hmm.
not specified what is the actual crew required. DGCA says if this aircraft has 10 doors, 10 crew are enough to fly the aircraft, but that is not possible. If I have to be alert 100%, I will not be able to concentrate on doing something else, whether it's in the cockpit, whether it's in the cabin. So you see, we need
Yeah.
additional crew. To be very honest with you, in 1965, we had the Mahesh Chandra Award, where
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
courts held that for a
Yeah.
proper flight safety crew complement for 200 passengers, at least you need 11 crew members. And Air India, on the long range flights, has not bothered with that. We were carrying 300 passengers with 11 crew only. So there was a burden on the crew at every point of time, and we brought it up regularly with the DGCA. There were mails. I have filed two writ petitions. Air India has refused to file, not refused to, but Air India did not file for 5 years. They did not file a reply, and then we came to know later on that when I filed the case in the Delhi High Court, that DGCA did not have half the powers that it was framing the rules with. And when the Dreamliners came, we were very skeptical of this aircraft at that point of time, because to be very honest, we had a lot of engineering issues with this aircraft when it came in the beginning. They were corrected later on. That's a separate issue, but there were issues. And here also, when, like I said, Naseem Zaidi said for any flight over 11 hours, there will only be a single landing. In the Australia operations, we had two landings. We were not given horizontal rest, which was mandatory, and we were forced to sit next to the toilet to rest. So if a passenger is using the toilet and he flushes it, that noise is going to trouble us. We brought this to the notice. Air India itself conducted a flight safety hazard risk, and in that, the report clearly said that operating the flights in this manner will endanger the flight at 25 times, ma'am, not 25%, 25 times the normal permissible limit. And this lady, Miss Harpreet Singh, could not be bothered. In fact, like even in 2023, DGCA has filed a report where Miss Harpreet Singh has forged and fudged reports, audit reports, but no action is taken against her. She has been going on from down. Now she's become a director, and she somehow or the other worms her way back into flight safety. And this, let me make it very clear, ma'am, this is to, the airline is only looking at its profits. It's not looking at the safety of the passengers. It's not looking at the safety of the crew.
Yeah, I'm putting out precisely what you're saying so that our viewers have a clear understanding of what
Sure.
exactly you're saying. And you are naming, of course, individuals who you feel are responsible for this. So, if I'm getting you correctly, you're saying that Air India was aware that operating the said flight, which you are referring to, an India
Yes.
Australia flight, has an accident risk at 25 times more than the normal permissible limit. The said report was suppressed by Air India. It was providence. It was perhaps just, destiny that nothing wrong happened. Am I right?
Yes,
But you
correct.
are saying that there
We
were
were flying on
life-threatening
a wing
risks
and a
taken.
prayer.
Hmm.
We were literally flying on a wing and a prayer.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. And it is that kind of risk which could have cost us this kind of an accident, is what you are saying. I'm just quoting
It will
precisely
culminate.
from
Yes,
the
it will
article
definitely
that
culminate. Yes.
that you're written. Yes. So I'm going to just reiterate for our viewers that there are various opinions coming in. One is that DGCA has been negligent. The other, Mr. Rao, has also been that the Boeing as a company is also under scrutiny at the moment because of its negligence. And then there is the third aspect that there could have been a pilot error. I take your point about DGCA. I take your point about the alerts that were ignored, the warnings that were ignored by the likes of you. But what about Boeing as a company? So many of their aircrafts have failed over the years. And is there a negligence there, you feel, from
Yes, there
Boeing?
was. Like I said, when this aircraft, this Dreamliner came to Air India, we were the first airline to pick it up. So it was literally being tested with Air India. And
Hmm.
when it was with Air India, we had panels falling off, batteries burning because they had lithium ion batteries for some equipment. We had
Hmm.
many issues. It took us at least a year and a half to set right a few things. But yes, this aircraft in the initial stages did have a lot of issues on the mechanical side.
Yeah. So, at the moment, we are still waiting for the exact details to come. What I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, what I understand is this can only happen once we decode the black box. There has to be a proper investigation into it. The possibilities of whether this could be a system failure, whether there was a bird hit, whether there was a wrong selection of controls by the pilots, which again is a possibility which has happened in aviation history. Uh, all of that will be determined. Is all of that yet to be ascertained? Are we still waiting for those details? Or is any of
Yes,
it?
we are, because once the debris is cleared, they will get to the black box, as it's called, the black box that
Yeah.
records all the data, the parameters of the aircraft, what height it was, what was the engine thrust. All these parameters are recorded on that thing. Once that is decoded, we'll come to know where the fault lies. So we'll have to wait till they find the I mean, take out the black box and decode it. So we will
Yeah.
definitely have to wait for that.
Some people are saying that the flaps were not engaged, and unless that is engaged, a lift cannot happen. Uh, is that Could that be a purely a pilot error, or it can be a technical aircraft error as well? The
It can
flap
be both.
issue
We
can
can't
be
we
both.
can't put it past. Maybe the pilot did engage it, it didn't engage. We really
Hmm.
don't know what exactly took place. So we'll have to wait till everything is decoded and it comes out.
Yeah, but is it clear to you that this was a double engine failure? Only then would it crash in this manner? Because even if one engine was operating and functional, this wouldn't have happened.
I again, like ma'am, like I said, I wouldn't want to go into speculation. There could be a possibility. There could be a bird hit. We really don't know what
Hmm.
exactly has happened. So we'd rather wait to see what is decoded out of the black box, and then we can.
Yeah.
Even though it's called a black box, it's orange in color. But then we'll wait for it
Hmm.
to be taken out.
One final comment from you, and I'm going to conclude with this because you are saying that I hope and pray that the court will now wake up and take action against the officers of DGCA and Air India who have blatantly violated flight safety norms. What is the appeal that you have? Who exactly are you expecting to take note of this and take action? Where does the buck
Yeah,
stop?
ma'am. Yeah. See, now the fundamental question that arises now is, if flight safety norms were violated, lives were endangered. And
Hmm.
if lives were endangered,
Hmm.
penal provisions, criminal law provides for imprisonment.
Yeah.
And so I have filed an n number of cases. The courts are very slow. They have a battery
Yeah.
of lawyers that come to court, mislead the court. So we are fighting it out in court. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, it's been at least 6 years, the matter doesn't come up. And mentioning it, they say there is no urgency. Courts feel that, oh, one small flight safety, nothing is going to happen. And that's why if you see my article today, is were we waiting for this to happen? Because
Yeah.
unfortunately for us, maybe for the next 10-15 days, this will be discussed and then people forget.
Hmm.
Memories are short till another incident. I don't wish, but another incident might take place and we may wake up again. So that's exactly my prayer. I hope that the courts hear me out based on documents, ma'am. It's not on my whims and fancies. I have produced the documents. I have the documents right with me in front of me. I have kept it. I can discuss it. Where there have been fudging of medical records, where there have been like crew who were not supposed to operate the aircraft were on that aircraft. It flew halfway to the destination and came back. So these cannot be minor aberrations.
Hmm.
At no
Yeah.
stage can they be taken as minor aberrations, you know. And DGCA, let me tell you, is a Rip Van Winkle. It only wakes up when an incident takes place, then it goes back to sleep for 20 years. That has been my personal experience with DGCA. They just
Yeah.
couldn't be bothered.
Interesting. I mean, this entire conversation, I think, has been very enlightening, very informative, because you are saying that you had a very strong inkling that something of this nature could happen if corrections are not made, and corrections were not made, according to you, despite
Sure.
all the red flags. And I'm putting out that article, which people can read online on the Free Press Journal or on the newspaper, where the headline is, "Were we waiting for this to happen?" Very interesting, Mr. Rao. Thank you so much for joining us, for being frank with us, for sharing your views. I admire your courage in that sense that you've been one of those people who have not minced words
I
when
have paid a very heavy
calling out.
price for it. I've paid a very heavy price for it, me and my family.
Right,
We have been
right.
victimized a lot at
Mhm.
the hand of the powers that be.
Yeah, but we cannot afford to lose lives because, as you call it, powers that be choose to be negligent. And that's the
Sure.
whole idea. We as journalists want to hear out everyone and want to bring important voices out to the public notice. Thank you so much, Mr. Rao, for joining us, for sharing your views, for giving us your time. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you for having me. Have you too. Have a nice day, man.
Pleasure. So it is interesting, of course, but it is also heartbreaking. It is also disturbing at the same time to hear out people who say that, well, we have concerns about how DGCA has been operating. I'm now going to play out some important sound bites. Here is a reaction from the forensic team who was there at the crash site earlier. I'm just trying to locate that
मिल रहे
particular
हैं
sound
उस
bite.
हिसाब से सारे के सारे
Let's listen
सैंपल्स
in.
लिए जा रहे हैं स्पेशली इसमें डीएनए आइडेंटिफिकेशन का है तो उसके रिगार्डिंग उनको मतलब गार्जियंस को हैंड ओवर कर दिया जाएगा सर जो बात ये हो रही है कि टेम्परेचर यहाँ पे बढ़ रहा है और एरिया पे तो जो सैंपल कलेक्ट किए जाएंगे उनकी क्या डिस्टॉर्ट होने के चांसेस रहते हैं क्या कुछ टेक्निकल रहती है टेम्परेचर के अकॉर्डिंग देखो जैसे जैसे टाइम बढ़ रहा है वैसे वैसे मतलब सैंपल कंटामिनेशन होने के भी चांसेस ज्यादा रहते हैं तो उस हिसाब से जितना जल्दी हो जा सके एफएसएल टीम भी टाइम टू टाइम वर्क कर रही है थैंक यू सो मच सर आप वहाँ से निकले रिजल्ट बिल भेजो सर आप निकले वहाँ से क्या मिला सर वहाँ पे चारों तरफ ऐश ही ऐश है और डेड बॉडीज के अभी भी कुछ रिमेन्स वगैरह सब कुछ है और बड़ी मतलब बहुत सिचुएशन अभी खराब है सर सर क्या क्या सैंपल कलेक्ट किया अभी एफएसएल टीम अपने हिसाब से काम कर रही है कोई अभी कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है कौन कौन सी एजेंसीज वहाँ पर नहीं वो कुछ भी नहीं आइडेंटिटी कुछ भी नहीं आइडिया सॉरी थैंक यू सर साइंस लेबोरेटरी को जो भी कर रही है उसके रिगार्डिंग जो डीएनए आइडेंटिफिकेशन किया जा रहा है वो चल रहा है और उसके हिसाब से डीएनए मैच करके और डेड बॉडीज उनके परिजनों को हैंड ओवर कर दी जाएगी पूरा में क्या मिलेगा क्या लगता है क्या क्या सैंपल लिए गए सैंपल तो जिसमें जो भी फॉरेंसिक टीम फॉरेंसिक साइंस लेबोरेटरी को जो भी एविडेंस मिल रहे हैं उस हिसाब से सारे के सारे सैंपल्स लिए जा रहे हैं स्पेशली इसमें डीएनए आइडेंटिफिकेशन का है तो उसके रिगार्डिंग उनको मतलब गार्जियंस को हैंड ओवर कर दिया जाएगा सर जो बात ये हो रही है कि टेम्परेचर यहाँ पे बढ़ रहा है और एरिया पे तो जो सैंपल कलेक्ट किए जाएंगे उनकी क्या डिस्टॉर्ट होने के चांसेस रहते हैं क्या कुछ टेक्निकल रहती है टेम्परेचर के अकॉर्डिंग देखो जैसे जैसे टाइम बढ़ रहा है वैसे वैसे मतलब सैंपल कंटामिनेशन होने के भी चांसेस ज्यादा रहते हैं तो उस हिसाब से जितना जल्दी हो जा सके एफएसएल टीम भी टाइम टू टाइम वर्क कर रही है थैंक यू सो मच सर आप वहाँ से निकले रिजल्ट बिल भेजो सर आप निकले वहाँ से क्या मिला सर वहाँ पे चारों तरफ ऐश ही ऐश है और डेड बॉडीज के अभी भी कुछ रिमेन्स वगैरह सब कुछ है और बड़ी मतलब बहुत सिचुएशन अभी खराब है सर क्या क्या सैंपल कलेक्ट किया अभी एफएसएल टीम अपने हिसाब से काम कर रही है कोई अभी कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है कौन कौन सी एजेंसीज वहाँ पर नहीं वो कुछ भी नहीं आइडेंटिटी कुछ भी नहीं आइडिया सॉरी थैंक यू सर કઈ જ નથી
અહીંયા તમે જોઈને શું કરશો?
આ બાજુ નથી, મારી મમ્મીને મેસ ત્યાં છે, સામેની સાઈડ.
બેન, કોણ હતું તમારા પરિવારમાંથી?
ખુદ નથી, અમે તમને ખુદ નથી. ખાલી નિર્માણનો કાટમાળ જ છે.
પણ અત્યારે કાલે આ ગાડીથી અમે લોકો કશું નહીં કર્યું. 24 કલાક થઈ ગયા, કઈ પતો નથી. અમે જોવા જવા જ તો સાહેબ. કાલે આગ લાગી હતી તો અમે લોકો કીધું કે હા તમારા લોકોની સાથે
અરે પણ ત્યાં દરેકને એવું છે. હા પણ અત્યારે પેલા
બીજા બધા બીજા જોઈને આવે છે ભાઈ. તો અહીંયા હજારોને જવું આમાં કાકા
કાલે આગ લાગી હતી અમે લોકો કશું નહીં કર્યું. 24 કલાક થઈ ગયા, કઈ પતો નથી. અમે જોવા જવા જ તો સાહેબ. કાલે આગ લાગી હતી તો અમે લોકો કીધું કે હા તમારા લોકોની સાથે
અરે પણ ત્યાં દરેકને એવું છે. હા પણ અત્યારે પેલા
બીજા બધા બીજા જોઈને આવે છે ભાઈ. તો અહીંયા હજારોને જવું આમાં કાકા 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 બાજુ આવો કાકા રવિ કાકા આ બાજુ ભાઈ લાઈવ ઓન કરી દીધું ને કનેક્ટ કરાવી દીધું. हिंदी में क्या
हम यहाँ जो यहाँ ये यूजी की मेस बिल्डिंग है वहाँ पे हम काम करते हैं.
બોલો વાંધો નહીં.
अभी आप गुजराती में बोलते हैं.
અમે અહીંયા યુજીની જે મેસ છે વિજય મેડિકલની ત્યાં ગાડી અમે કામ કરીએ છીએ. ત્યાં ગાડી મમ્મી લોકો ત્યાં રાંધવાનું નહીં કરે છે અને અમે ત્યાંથી ટિફિન પ્રોવાઈડ કરીએ છીએ સિવિલમાં.
વર્ષથી તમારી દીકરી હતી અને કેટલા ટાઈમથી દૂર છે? હજી તપાસ ચાલુ છે. પોલીસે કેટલો સપોર્ટ કર્યો છે?
पुलिस
1:10 का, तो हमें पहुंचते थोड़ा 12:20 हो चुकी थी और 12:10 को एयर इंडिया वालों ने चेक इन और सब कुछ करना बंद कर दिया था. तो उन सब से मैंने रिक्वेस्ट की. लेट होने का रीज़न तो यही था कि अहमदाबाद का थोड़ा ट्रैफिक, हम लोग गाड़ी में ही थे और तभी हमने न्यूज़ देखा कि ऐसा प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है. कल एक्चुअली मैं वापस लंदन जा रही थी और मेरी फ़्लाइट का टाइम था 1:10 का, तो हमें पहुंचते थोड़ा 12:20 हो चुकी थी और 12:10 को एयर इंडिया वालों ने चेक इन और सब कुछ करना बंद कर दिया था. मैं वहाँ पे चेक इन के गेट पे पहुँचने के बाद मैंने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट भी किया कि अभी 10 मिनट ही थोड़ा लेट हुआ है तो मुझे जाने दो, जो भी इमिग्रेशन और वो होगा मैं फटाफट से सब क्लियर कर दूंगी. लेकिन उन्होंने और वो उनकी सीनियर स्टाफ भी आए थे, उन सब से मैंने रिक्वेस्ट की, लेकिन वो तीनों जन ने मुझे वापस ही भेज दिया कि नहीं मैडम अभी 10 मिनट की आपकी लेट की वजह से हम लोग को और 15 मिनट लेट हो सकता है. तो फिर इसलिए मुझे रिटर्न होना पड़ा था.
आपका लेट होने का कारण क्या था एयरपोर्ट पहुँचने?
लेट होने का रीज़न तो यही था कि अहमदाबाद का थोड़ा ट्रैफिक, हम लोग ये सिटी एरिया में थोड़ा एंटर हो चुके थे तो उसका हमको लेट हुआ था.
जब आपको पता चला है कि ट्रेन क्रैश हुआ तब आप कहाँ पे थे और कैसे फील हुआ था?
जब पता चला तब हम ऑलमोस्ट एयरपोर्ट से तो घर के लिए निकल चुके थे और हम लोग गाड़ी में ही थे और तभी हमने न्यूज़ देखा कि ऐसा प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है. और एट द टाइम आई वॉज फीलिंग टोटली नम एंड एक तरह से अच्छा मैं अपने भगवान का थोड़ा माता जी का और सब शुक्रिया कर रही थी कि मैं बच गई. लेकिन दूसरी साइड ये भी था कि ये जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है वो बहुत ही थोड़ा टेरिफाइड है.
जी, आपकी लड़की कल अहमदाबाद से लंदन जा रही थी. फ्लाइट पे टाइम पे पहुंचने के नहीं कारण उनकी आज जान बच गई। आपको कैसा लगा उस टाइम पे जब ये पता चला?
जब हम लोग एयरपोर्ट के लिए निकले थे और 12:10 का उसका बोर्डिंग का टाइम था, 10 मिनट हम ट्रैफिक की वजह से लेट पहुँचे और फिर उधर भी रिक्वेस्ट किया, फिर भी इन लोगों ने ऐसा बोला कि अभी लिस्टिंग हो चुका है, अभी आपकी वजह से और 15-20 मिनट फ़्लाइट लेट होगी। इसके लिए हम लोग फिर वहाँ से निकल गए और हमको तो मालूम ही नहीं था, लेकिन जब एयरपोर्ट से बाहर निकले तभी ऐसा मैसेज आया परिवार का और न्यूज़ में कि ये प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है।
आपको कैसा लगा कि आपकी बेटी उस फ्लाइट में नहीं पहुंच पाई टाइम पे? जो
हम तो
पहले
माता जी का शुक्रिया करते हैं कि हम बच गई। शुक्रिया मानते हैं माता जी का कि उन्होंने हमें बचा लिया, बेटी को बचा लिया, छोटा बच्चा भी साथ में मेरा है।
अच्छा, कितने लोग बोर्डिंग थे उन दो प्लेन में?
एक ही वो था, लेकिन बच्चा मेरे पास छोड़ के गई थी, वो छोटा बच्चा छोड़ के गई थी। वो आज बच्चे की वजह से उसकी माँ बच गई है और इतनी माता जी की कृपा है कि वो सही सलामत है हमारे साथ।
जो रिपोर्ट आया है, जो एयर इंडिया के द्वारा आपको क्या क्या रिपोर्ट क्या बोला गया है अभी तक?
एयर इंडिया के द्वारा से कोई रिपोर्ट अभी तक आज तक, कल से आज तक कोई खबर नहीं मिला है। क्योंकि हमारा ध्यान से है और क्या बोलेंगे कि मीडिया लोग के जो फेसबुक में देखा है ना, इसलिए ऐसे क्रैश हो गया, वो हो गया, इसलिए उसका जानकारी तो मिल गया। तो बड़ी बेटी शायद उसी खुद ही चला गया और उसके बाद क्या क्या करेंगे क्या नहीं करेंगे, वो तो एयर इंडिया हो या जो भी एयरलाइन से कोई आदमी हमारे घर पे कोई एक आदमी भी नहीं आया और रिपोर्ट भी नहीं किया है।
और अभी सुनने में आ रहा है कि आपकी बेटी डीएनए टेस्ट के लिए गया है।
वो तो मेरा एक बेटा दिल्ली में है, शायद वो काम पे जरूरत हो जाएंगे डीएनए, तब तो इनके दीदी तो बुला के उसके साथ जाने के लिए अभी दिल्ली पहुंचने के बाद फिर अहमदाबाद जाना है। तो जो भी हो सरकार के तरफ से या मीडिया के तरफ से भी हो, घर में कोई आकर पूछा नहीं, कोई आकर कोई जानकारी लिया नहीं, उस भी तरीका उसको नहीं है और एक शब्द भी हमारे घर पे सुना ही नहीं।
तो अभी आप क्या चाहते हैं?
अभी मेरी तरफ से तो चाहता है कि कुछ न कुछ तो वो लोग सरकार की तरफ से कुछ न कुछ तो बोलना चाहिए, कुछ न कुछ तो घर के परिवारों का देखभाल करना चाहिए। यही तरीका है और कोई क्या, गुजर गया तो गुजर गया है, चला गया तो चला गया। मेरी तो सिर्फ 3 बेटियां हैं, पहली काम मिला है वो मेरी बेटी। क्या बोलूं, कुछ बोलने की कोई
गुजर जाने का जो रिपोर्ट अभी तक तो आया नहीं है, लेकिन अगर गुजर जाने से जो अंतिम संस्कार करने के लिए आपको क्या कहना?
अंतिम संस्कार तो घर में ही करेगा, कुछ न कुछ तो उसका शरीर से मिल जाएंगे ना, वो घर में ही करेगा।
अब उसी को उम्मीद में है।
हाँ, इसलिए तो मेरे बड़ी बेटी उसको भेजा है ना, कुछ शरीर लेकर आने के लिए।
डॉक्टर तरुण।
क्या कहाँ थे आप जब?
अंदर था मैं बिल्डिंग में, अतुल टेम्पल में।
कितने बजे की बात है? क्या
145, 140, 145 अराउंड।
क्या हुआ उस समय, थोड़ा अगर आप नरेट कर सकते हैं?
I was inside my room, I was having my lunch, तभी blast हुआ और I just jumped from the balcony, so I could have saved myself.
कैसे महसूस कर रहे हो और घर जा रहे हो उसके बारे में बता दो क्या?
आग बहुत ज्यादा हो गई।
तो सर कट करना पड़ता है?
हाँ।
बताइए क्या हुआ, आपकी चोट लगी?
आग बहुत आ गई थी, फ्लैट से निकलना पॉसिबल नहीं था, तो आई जम्प थ्रू माई बालकनी, दैट्स व्हाई आई गॉट इंजर्ड।
और अभी आप लोग सब घर जा रहे हैं?
घर नहीं जा रहे हैं हम, बस जहाँ पे हमें रेजिडेंस मिल जाएगा अभी हम वहाँ पे जा रहे हैं। अभी पता नहीं है, अभी हमें सामान निकालने की पॉसिबिलिटी जब मिली तो हमारे पास कुछ था नहीं, एसेंशियल्स भी नहीं थे, दैट्स व्हाई हमने कुछ सामान निकाल लिया। हमारा सामान इतना नहीं जला है, दूसरी साइड का ज्यादा जला है, बट हमने जितना एसेंशियल था वो निकाल लिया। थैंक यू। डॉक्टर तरुण, रेजिडेंट, सेकेंड ईयर रेजिडेंट।
सफोकेशन हो गया एकदम से, एंड उसके बाद मैं सीढ़ियों से उतरा तो पूरा मतलब सफोकेशन नहीं था, सब कुछ सरवाइव करके सामने वाली बाउंड्री में कूद के गया, तो उसकी वजह से मुझे स्प्रेन हुआ। एंड
क्या टूट गया है?
नहीं टूटा नहीं, स्प्रेन जैसा है, अभी एक्सरे करवाया, ठीक है, बच गया। अगर 10-15 सेकंड में रुक जाता तो फिर मैं नहीं निकल पाता।
मतलब क्या होता, मतलब
सफोकेशन एस्फिक्सिया से मर जाते।
किसी का ऐसा कोई हादसा हुआ है?
बहुत सारी फैमिली मेंबर्स के साथ हुआ, जो इस साइड से पीछे की साइड से उनका हुआ है, मेरा थोड़ा आगे की साइड था, तो मुझे सिर्फ ब्लास्ट वेव्स और थर्मल वेव्स और धुआं यही सब हुआ, कांच टूट गया।
क्या नाम है?
पीयूष।
आप डॉक्टर?
जी, मैं असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर था, बस मेरा किसी जूनियर के उसके रूम पे आया हुआ था मिलने के।
कितने परिवार रहते हैं?
सभी फ्लैट्स में रहते हैं।
कितने फ्लैट्स हैं?
20।
हॉस्टल है?
हाँ, हॉस्टल। हर फैमिली, सबके साथ फैमिली है, डॉक्टर्स के साथ, किसी के साथ किसी के साथ बच्चे का।
अभी आप कहाँ
मैं सेकंड फ्लोर से नीचे उतरा था सफोकेशन में, देन मैं निकला बाहर तो हर तरफ आग लगी हुई थी, सराउंडिंग में सब तरफ, तो मुझे सामने की तरफ जो खाली ग्राउंड था उसमें मैं जंप किया। सेकंड फ्लोर से नहीं, सामने जो बाउंड्री वॉल है कंक्रीट वाली, उसको चढ़ के उसको जंप किया। मतलब मैं खुद ही रेस्क्यू होकर धीरे धीरे चला गया, फिर मैं बाद में सब चीजें बाद में आई। आई वॉज द फर्स्ट। मैं देखना बाकी सब जल ही गया है मोस्टली, बाकी देखना नहीं, वो सब सेफ है, मतलब वो यहाँ नहीं थे, बाई गॉड्स ग्रेस। हाँ।
आपका पूरा नाम सर?
डॉक्टर पीयूष।
उनको पूछ लूंगा। हाँ ठीक है कोई बात नहीं।
उसके पहले आप
हाँ ठीक है।
ये रोड से बाहर निकलो। अरे इतना भी आना है, गाड़ी वहां पड़ी है।
કશું નહીં આવે આ મારું લોકેશન જ આ પરફેક્ટ છે અહીંયા અહીંથી ના અહીં કઈ અહીં ભટકે ના આમ ગયું
कुछ थोड़ा
ભાઈ જો મહેરબાની કે જે આયેલા છો ને પ્રેમથી હવે હેઠા જતા રહો મીડિયા વાળાને એમનું કામ કરવા બીજા લોકો એને મને પકડી રાખ્યો એટલે હું બચી ગયો
हेलो वो मेरे फोन पे फोन करेंगे। हाँ सेलेक्ट हो गया।